Hey guys, Micah from Black Bear Custom Kydex. I have a video for you today on a sheath that I just worked on for a Gerber Strongarm with a Leatherman wave mounted on it. So this one is for DJ, and DJ sent me his Strongarm and asked to keep using the factory sheath. He likes the factory sheath, but he wanted to add a custom Leatherman wave sheath on it. And he had sent me a picture of the two together and how he wanted it angled and oriented. Excuse me, man. All right, so given given what I have to work with for drill hole spacing on the factory sheath, this is the closest I could get the angle to work out. I sent him a picture. He said it looked fine. One of the things that I just changed last minute was adding this giant divot cut out of the Leatherman wave sheath, and as you can imagine, it's really a finger purchase. It's something so that you can use your finger and just gives you the clearance to be able to push the Leatherman further out the top. Reason being is, I mean, in general, that's just a nice feature to have on something like a multi-tool sheath. But DJ really wanted to be able to draw one-handed, and before it was going to be a scenario where you'd have to brace the handle of the knife or brace the sheath somewhere with one hand and then pull it out with the other hand. So like I said, he wanted to be able to operate this one-handed. So now what we have is you can actually put your thumb on the little rounded side of the sheath, not the doubled over and riveted side, but the rounded folded side, whatever. Put your thumb there to brace it. Use that finger purchase or that scallop I took out there and push the Leatherman up and keep your thumb right on that thing. Rotate your hand around and you can pull that out. So if you're noticing, I'm just suspending the sheath from my finger as if my finger were a belt. So I'm not bracing the sheath in any way. It can totally be done. It's not terribly difficult. It doesn't take that long. It is obviously slower than, you know, a typical sheath with a thumb ramp, ballistic one-handed draw, and all that good stuff. But the one-handed option does exist. It does work. So hopefully DJ is satisfied with that. So originally he had asked if he could just send measurements for the drill hole spacing on the Leatherman sheath. That way I could make, the Gerber sheath. That way I could make his Leatherman work with those spacings. But I told him he needed to send me the actual sheath because anytime you add or take away something from a sheath, and this, whether it's a factory sheath or, you know, if you're building a Kydex system and you have your main sheath constructed and you're adding an attachment, something like that, every little thing that you do can actually change the retention. It can cause the Kydex to flex out or, you know, cave in, and either one of those is not an ideal scenario. You really want it to stay fixed in a good position so that the knife's not rattling, not going to fall out, and not getting scraped if the Kydex is caved in. So in any event, we've got that set up there really nice. You can see the Gerber pops right down in, clicks into place. It does have a little bit of a rattle, but that's always the case with the Gerber sheaths. It's the same as it was when it came to me. And it does have a really nice one-handed draw on it. So that should be good. The other thing we have attached here, he wanted originally a leather dangler, but he switched to nylon after seeing a video I put up with a nylon dangler on it. Sorry, I got some dust on it still. So we switched to a nylon dangler, and he had this really great idea that I think is just going to represent another awesome customer idea that turns into an option that I offer. And this is really where I think some of the best game-changing ideas come from, is just a customer describes a scenario that they want to be able to achieve with their Kydex sheath. And, you know, it's a matter of whether or not the builder wants to take that on or try to make that happen or puzzle it out. So in my case, there's not a lot that I won't want to try. I get really excited about trying new things, and especially if it's something I haven't seen anybody else do. Yeah, that just makes me really happy to give it a go and see if I can be the first. So this, I believe, is the very first of its kind. Now this is, I'm going with the name Breakaway Dangler. And if you guys have followed me at all, you know about my Breakaway sheaths. So Breakaway system that I have is set up where you've got a primary knife and then you have a smaller knife. So you got a piggyback. And the smaller knife has a sheath that can be pulled away from the main sheath, and it's already set up with its own carry clip and everything. You don't need any tools to separate them. It just requires clicking it out, and then you can immediately transfer it to the carry situation of your choice, whether it's, you know, a belt or straps or whatever, molly. But it's a really convenient, really versatile way of being able to separate the two or combine the two, and you know, do any number of things that you intend to do with those. So this is a very similar concept where I've constructed a dangler, a sort of normal dangler, but then created a receiver for it. So there's something that retains the dangler, and you can actually just separate the two. So if you look at this, that doesn't look terribly different from what you would see on most of my sheaths that have some kind of dangler on it. The only real difference here is there's a lot of intentional contour. Obviously it's double layered, which was by design, and I put rivets through it, which I normally don't do. But the reason I've done that is I wanted there to be plenty of stuff to grip onto when I made the receiver. So you can see that receiver has been molded around all the different contours on this, and obviously with the intention of having really strong retention. So it does have really good retention. It might be a little bit too strong. We're not really sure yet. I'm going to let DJ try it out for a while and tell me what he thinks of it. But it can be pretty difficult to yank it out and to pop it back in. But the idea here is that it does support a really heavy load, and I want to make sure that it's not going to ever fall off on him or anything like that. Or, you know, if he were to be walking through the brush and get a branch snagged in between the Leatherman and the main sheath here, you know, that kind of force, I don't want it to just separate the sheath from him. I want him to, you know, intentionally have to do that. So here's how it works. Obviously you can just use brute force and pop it off, which is, well, you have to use brute force to pop it off, but you have some options. I would not recommend just trying to, you know, tense it up and then gradually yank it apart. Obviously that can be done, not a problem, but if you want it to come out a little more efficiently, I would say, again, just suspending here like a belt, I would say give it a little lift and then push it straight down. In the case where you have this Leatherman on here, that is a huge contour that you can just grab onto, so you've got a nice positive surface that you can push against to break that free. Same thing when you put it back in. Well, unfortunately there's no way to really like get the momentum and do that, but I would recommend putting your thumb or something on top of the ridge that goes over the D-ring. It just seems like the best place to push from, and snap that down in place. So it does take a lot of force to do it, but I think it's worth it for the amount of strength that it gives you in that system. Real quick, just so we don't have any confusion on it. So there is a contoured side right here, obviously, and then the flat side here. And the flat side needs to go against the sheath. So it'll go in like so, and the contoured side goes against your body. Just to make it a little easier to see it, I did stamp his initials in there. So I got DJ, and the DJ is going to face your body, and the flat side is going to face the Strongarm sheath. So again, you just have this housing that you're essentially plugging into, almost like a seat belt. Try to do it so you guys can see it. And just snap it in. It's nice and solid, ready to go. One thing I'll address right now, I don't know exactly moving forward if there's going to be just a totally standard size and setup for it. This, I think, I'm suspecting is going to be a little bit wider than what the normal one would look like in a scenario where I build, you know, normally I don't attach things to a factory sheath. It's very rare that I work with a factory sheath at all. But in this particular case, the width of it was entirely dependent on the drill hole spacing for the factory sheath. So you can see I've utilized these two eyelets here, and that's why we're out this wide. I think normally I would probably make this piece quite a bit narrower, and yeah. Anyway, that's what we got. So moving forward, you'll definitely see some others come up, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. I think it's a good idea, bad idea. If you've seen anything else out there like it, I have not. I'm pretty sure this is the very first one, so I'm excited about it. DJ had a great idea with that, and I hope he really likes his sheath. So anyway, if you guys like this sheath, if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, comment down below, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your opinions on it, and share it with all your buddies. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Stick around for the next one. God bless.